sports thing, first of all. So we came back. So this weekend, shout out to the Browns for making my, shout out to Ohio State for making my, and the Guardians, Cleveland Guardians, for making my weekend great. Shout out to the Browns for screwing everything up. But I'm going to talk about three people: Devonte, Dion, and Eddie. Now, remember these: Devonte, Dion, and Eddie, and the sack rule. First, four, Tom. So, first of all, I'm going to call it the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Atlanta Falcons game where the Atlanta Falcons, Grady Jarrett, sacked Tom Brady. Tom Brady was looking for the call. They gave him the call, and Tampa Bay ended up winning the game. But the sack, they called a roughing the passer penalty. I know Tua Tagovailoa took concussion hits and things of that nature, but like Troy Aikman said, when we going to take off the dresses, especially this is football, it's sensitive. I know the quarterback shouldn't be hit roughing the passer, but there's been some questionable calls ever since Tua took that concussion, even though the person was fired as far as being concussion protocol, things of that nature. But yeah, I'm not seeing that. There was a similar call made on against Kansas City on Monday Night Football, where somebody stripped the defensive man stripped Chris Sims. Derek Carr was stripped, and they called a pass interference. They called a roughing the passer call on him, which is stupid. Now, that was stupid. He stripped because he fell on top of the quarterback. Now, the quarterback is not this pansy dude. The quarterback, we got 6'4", 250, 60-pound dudes. Now, you got 300-pound dudes, things of that nature, but dang. Now, I don't agree. Now, I'm not saying the NFL's business is my business, but I don't agree with those two calls. I think they should have been not called, and Troy Aikman said, take the pants off, take the dresses off. Now, Troy, I don't know you. And the thing about it is, and here's the thing about Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman was a former quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. We're now 4-1, so under Cooper Rush, surprisingly. But he took more hits than anybody I can remember. I mean, Troy was smacked around so many times. Thought he was Chris Rock at the Oscars. So that he got nailed in his career, and especially in games against the Eagles with Brian Dawkins and that line that they had, Troy got beat up, and he's saying, hey, the calls are too excessive. Now, I'll go into the minute, like I said, I'm going to, that game afterwards, Devonte Adams, the wide receiver, got that big, former Green Bay Packers wide receiver, got that big contract from the Las Vegas Raiders. And he got that big contract, and they lost the game. They, I guess him and Hunter Renfrow on fourth down ran into each other. That was crazy. And he was so upset, he threw his helmet off. And he pushed the cameraman. Like I said, sometimes one anger, in the first segment, one angry thing could lead you to something that you didn't want. Well, Devonte Adams got charged with misdemeanor assault. He's probably going to have to pay for that dude, cameraman. They saw it on TV, things of that nature. Just like he had to, he's probably going to miss he's going to get cost a game check because he's probably going to be suspended for the next game because when, you see it, it's on video. Now it's playing everywhere. And just like the Draymond Green Jordan Poole incident, T-Rex, did you see Draymond Green punch Jordan Poole in the face?
Of course. You can't let nobody get up on you like that. He pushed Draymond, right?
Right.
Okay, and he got punched.
Now it's coming out. Now Draymond's taking time away from the team. There's been some razz and there's been some speculation that Draymond, this is his last year in Golden State. because Jordan Poole is younger. They're both expecting to get signed, and both of them want major money from the Warriors. Now that we already know the Golden State Warriors got their money in the Splash Brothers. They splashed their money into the Splash Brothers and Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. So I don't know if it hurts Draymond from getting the bag. Pretty much, sometimes it can cost you. Now in Devontae's case, it's going to cost you both. He's going criminal charges, even though they're misdemeanor. They're still criminal charges, and he's going to have to pay some money to that guy, that cameraman. He shoved out the way. I don't think it was bad, but it depends on in real time how you see it as. Now, should Devonte Adams have done that? No, I'm not agreeing with the action. You were upset about the game. You felt like there was something left on the field. You should have never pushed a guy that is, not close to being defenseless, but he was a cameraman, for Christ's sake. What the hell he gonna do? It's not like he was one of the DBs for Kansas City. Maybe you would have pushed one of them out the way. Probably would have won the game. I mean, he did that. I mean, he contributed. It was just, when you got Patrick Mahomes, who was from the planet Arm, he is an alien. I keep telling y'all, Patrick Mahomes is not from this planet. It is what it is. KC won, KC turf, and that. I mean, I feel bad for him. Now, I'm not going to say what I'm going to like. Speaking of football in the college ranks, Deion Sanders and Eddie Robinson Jr. Alabama State University head coach Eddie Robinson Jr. invited Jackson State football team, who was coached by Coach Deion Sanders, a.k.a. Coach Prime. Everybody know who Coach Prime is, so I'm going to keep saying Coach Prime. That Coach Prime told his team that Alabama State was setting them up. Now, Jackson State is 4-0 at this particular point. Now, this is Alabama State's homecoming. Now, Eddie Robinson Jr. is son of the late, great coach Eddie Robinson at Grambling, who racked up over numerous amounts of wins when he was there. And Deion used it as motivation to get his team hyped. Coach Prime, of course, playing my theme music. Seeing it on Instagram. If you hadn't seen his son's page or anything, his son, Shedeur Sanders, threw for a couple of touchdowns, and Jackson State beat Alabama State down. Now, after the game was over, after things were being said, left it on the field, Coach Prime goes up, shakes Eddie Robinson Jr.'s hand. Then he tries, then Prime leans in for the hug. Coach Prime leans in for a hug. Eddie Robinson Jr. pushes him away like, no, bro. Yeah. Like, shove him away. Like, get out of here. And people seen that. And the thing about it is for two African-American men, listen. Eddie Robinson Jr., you have a pedigree in coaching because your dad was one of the greatest coaches in college football. I ain't just talking about as far as HBCUs. I'm talking about college football, period. Better than Joe Paterno, better than anybody else, better than anybody that I've seen. You groom young men. Coach Prime is bringing back the HBCUs to the prime time where he feels like they're supposed to be. Now, Eddie Robinson Jr. was asking, Prime not SWAC. Now, SWAC is the Southwestern Athletic Conference. And that's pretty much for HBCUs, pretty much. And then Prime said, if I'm SWAC, who is SWAC? Well, on a T-shirt. You don't give Coach Prime time ammunition because he's gonna, Neon Deion's a showman, so he's gonna use it for his own personal. So you just don't do that. Now I understand Coach Robinson Jr. was upset with Prime for saying the things like motivation, but normally when you're invited to somebody's homecoming, which is true, when you're invited to somebody's homecoming, the homecoming team is supposed to win. Like when we invited you to your home, you invite you to your homecoming. We're gonna beat you down to build our homecoming up. Didn't happen that way. Listen, I understand Prime saying that he got his team motivated. I mean, they 4-0. He didn't want to be complacent. But the thing about it is, Coach Robinson, you were mad because he said the truth. Sorry. They ruined your homecoming. Get better next time. Hell, recruit better. You got the NIL, which is the NIL contracts for NAACP players or players in Division I and Division II and every other conference. Listen, give a chance to pay these kids. By the way, Bronny James, the son of LeBron James, who just turned 18, signed an NIL contract with Nike. Of course, his dad, has his own brand at Nike. So, listen, get better. Get motivated. I mean, you got a good team. I mean, Prime's team, Jackson State University, is bringing the highlights back to HBCUs where they should be. Historically black colleges and universities do not get the budgets that Big Ten and other schools get. Like other big-time schools get. Historically black colleges and universities do not get the Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia budgets or Miami budgets. I don't know why. I mean, the thing about it is that they don't get those budgets. We know they don't get those budgets. So, listen, friendly rivalry, but I don't think you should have pushed the man away because you was mad about what he said. And I think that you're and if you don't like the success that he's getting, cool. We understand that. This is his, second year down in Jackson State, and he's whooping ass and taking names right now. They're 5-0. I mean, they could take on one of them Division I powerhouses. I don't think they win, but they could be competitive. Coach Prime is trying to make them competitive. He's putting the swagger back where it belongs in the HBCUs in that conference. I ain't mad at him for that because it makes every single school that they play look better, even though they might lose to them. Or they might luck up and win. Who knows? I just think that bringing a light to the HBCUs in this area, bringing a lot of recruits, a lot of NFL scouts to those that might not be drafted. And by the way, how many HBCU college football players were drafted in the National Football League were in the NFL draft last year? I think it's 0. I'm gonna give probably one player. Out of how many teams? 32 teams. I'm sure they can. I'm sure they can find a quarterback in the HBCUs better than Baker Mayfield. By the way, the coach of the Carolina Panthers, Matt Rule, was fired Tuesday after a 1-4 start, after a devastating loss to the San Francisco 49ers with Jimmy Garoppolo as his starting quarterback, after Baker Mayfield threw a pick 6. Y'all still wanted to keep this dude here in Cleveland. Okay. Now I was riding with Baker when he was here in Cleveland, but I seen the mediocrity. I just, you gotta ride for your team, win, lose, or draw. But once he went to Carolina, I root for the Browns. I don't root for no one person. I root for the Cleveland Browns. By the way, Deshaun Watson, who is going to supposedly be the starting quarterback, he still has to serve his 11-game suspension. I mean, but we got week 6, we got 6 more games to go that he is allowed to practice on November 14th before his return after in the 12th game. Speaking of the Guardians, speaking of Cleveland sports, the Cleveland Guardians beat the Tampa Bay Devil Rays in their division in the wild card of the playoffs. They took the 2-game sweep this weekend. They played yesterday against the New York Yankees, and unfortunately, in this divisional round, which is a 5-game series, they lost 4-1. And the Yankees are a great team. Let's just be honest with you. Aaron Judge both, had passed Roger Maris, even though he didn't pass Barry Bonds for the home run record, things of that nature. Everybody talk about Barry Bonds using steroids. Listen, dude has 73 home runs. Juiced or not, that's a great feat. So, but like I said, the Yankees have great players on their team. The Indians, the Cleveland Guardians, the Guardians. I'm not trying to piss off any indigenous people. They were already mad about October 10th, which is Indigenous People Day. So the Guardians are, they're doing well. Nobody expected them to get this far, but they got this far. Hopefully they can push it. But the Yankees, they got a tough road ahead of them. But like I said before, with the sports, with going back to the football, especially the 2 African-American head coaches. First of all, y'all African-American head coaches, listen, you can be upset. Just give the man a hug. You ain't got to push him off like that. Like, first of all, Eddie Robinson Jr., I understand that you were upset, but you didn't have to show, like, you got cameras around you. You could have said something to him in the postgame. You want to say who he's not swag. And Coach Prime saying, what is swag, man? You let me know. You let me know. You sitting up there, you telling me what is swag. You let me know. He's bringing the swag back to swag. Or he brought it there if there was any in the first place. I think he's doing a wonderful job with his boys, especially his boy Shedeur Sanders being the starting quarterback at Jackson State University of the Tigers football team. It must pressure. First of all, being the coach's son. Second of all, you have the biggest leadership position on the team. You are the starting quarterback. No matter whether it's high school, college, or pro, it's already a point pressure position that you will get scrutinized. You get praised when the team wins. You get dogged when the team loses. Shedeur, first of all, and your dad is one of the greatest players in the national football. Your dad's a Hall of Famer. And I know he's coaching before, but these are different lights in college. And everybody's talking about Coach Sanders, Coach Brown going to a top Power 5 conference. I think he would do well at a top Power 5 school, but I don't think he's going. I think he likes what he's building here. If his sons graduate, then, if he wants to accept the offer, who's going to blame him? If his sons, leave, especially Shedeur, because right now, the way Shedeur is passing, the Heisman Trophy. Now, I like Stroud of Ohio State. Don't get me wrong. I love my Buckeyes. But Shedeur Sanders should be in consideration for the Heisman Trophy. Just saying. He should be in consideration for the Heisman Trophy because of the way that he's passing. I think he's like 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's putting up top 5 quarterback numbers. He's putting up top 5 quarterback numbers. He's putting up Heisman numbers. I mean, Steve McNair of Alcorn State, he was considered for the Heisman, and that was a Division I AA school. But Shedeur Sanders is putting up Heisman numbers. I don't see it besides our quarterback at Ohio State, I see a couple of running backs from Wisconsin, a couple of people in Georgia. Of course, Alabama always produces their best, but he's putting up top 5 numbers. He's putting up Heisman numbers. So you got to give him his due. I don't know, maybe he's a sophomore or junior, and he's putting up, he's putting up Heisman numbers. Shedeur Sanders is. You got to give credit where credit is due. You got to give credit. You got to give credit where credit is due. And I know Coach Robinson's upset. Listen, don't invite. Listen, I know the schedule was made already to invite him to homecoming and gave him a check and things of that nature. Jackson State people didn't had a problem getting in, but remember, Coach Prime is coaching that team. Maybe you should have looked at the schedule and be like, we're gonna choose Florida A&M. We're not gonna choose Jackson State for our homecoming. Maybe you should have thought of that before the season started. Maybe the schedulers put it out that way, so you had no choice. But if you had a chance to choose somebody for homecoming, maybe you shouldn't choose one of the hot teams in college football right now. Maybe you shouldn't do it. No, shouldn't. Shouldn't do that. So we're going to take a break. Our last one, when we come back, we're going to do a wrap-up of everything and things of that nature on the Headline Eye on Nerve DJs, WNRV1081.com. We're going to...